Bailey has been dropping. It's up on the screen. You'll see it a few times in the chat and on the screen share. We're going to get rolling here. And I'm going to turn it over to Bailey to talk about some stuff that Logic Academy has going on. But just before we do that, we are going to record this session. So if you're a person that doesn't want their video on, feel free to turn your video off. The video will be recorded. And if you don't feel comfortable asking questions in the chat during the recording, I will hang out for a little bit after the recording gets turned off if you have extra questions that you want to ask privately or you want to ask without video proof that you asked that question. So I'll turn that on, and then I will turn it over to Bailey to tell you what we got going on.
Perfect. So yeah, I'm Bailey Omberg. I'm a curriculum coordinator in Hanna, Alberta, the proud home of Nickelback and Lanny McDonald. So a lot going on here. Hanna is kind of the edge of Treaty 7 and Treaty 6, and I'm super proud to be working with Logix. Logix is super dedicated to teacher learning in really anything that involves, innovation. So anything cool, Logix is in on, and we'd love to talk a little bit more about some of that stuff as we move along too. Thanks, Danny.
So my name is Danny Leeming. I am sitting right now in Castlegar, British Columbia, Canada, which is in the southern interior of BC. I teach at a small rural school, grade 7 to 12, with about 250 kids, depending on the day and what kind of weather we got. Less on snow days. And I am a teacher librarian, technology integration teacher, and I teach a specialized media and film academy, which I'll talk a little bit more about in the context of AI coming up. I've been working in professional development around AI since last November, when we all had GPT-4 or GPT-3 drop into our lap and all the other innovations that have come with it. It is important. You heard Bailey do her land acknowledgement. She's in Treaty 7 territory. I am on unceded treaty territory. There is no treaty in this area of BC, or really many in BC at all. I am on the territory of the Ktunaxa, Okanagan, and the federally extinct Sinixt people, which are not extinct at all. So I'm lucky to work and play on the land that they shared, and I am hoping that I can one day say that it is not unceded and that it is sorted out and no longer contested. Logix Academy is who's doing this event for me. And Bailey are independent consultants that get to work with an amazing team of people. They get to put these workshops on. Logixacademy.com is where you find all the cool things that they do. They do both professional development, which is what you're sitting in right now, but also hands-on workshops. They have different things to enhance technology in your classroom. They've got a ton of cool robot stuff. I saw in our chat, in our contractor chat, there was new 3D printers I saw this morning getting unboxed, which is very cool. And I'll throw it over to Bailey to talk about all the other things that they do.
Yeah, so we'll have to give a shout out to Sandy as well, our partner in this event, and partner with lots of things with Logix. But Logix also does lots of Microsoft training, and we're also partnered with Google Cloud and Apple and Minecraft. My favorite, personal little bias there. But Danny, if you want to go to the next slide, I think that's our Sandy side. Sandy is here, so we have to say thank you. She's here. She is a phenomenal partner at Google for educators, and thanks to her, this sort of learning happens. So you honestly wouldn't be sitting with Danny and I this morning if it wasn't for Sandy. So thank you, Sandy, for bringing our teams together and bringing all of us together to talk about this super cool topic that Danny's going to take us on.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Sandy, and the team at Google, because it is a team effort. So let's get into it. AI obviously is a very popular, very big topic in education right now. I will not claim to sit here and say I am the expert in AI. I think anybody saying that they're an AI expert in education right now is a bit of a fibber. And I think what's happening right now is you have tons of curious people digging in on how and what and where and why AI is being used. So the scope of the workshop today, I'm going to start with a big top level view of like, what are we talking about? We're going to talk about some of the important, I think, philosophy pieces that we need to be thinking about as ethical educators to answer some of the questions about AI. And then I would like to get everybody in the workshop the chance to play with some very specific tools and think about prompting. And then we're going to hopefully, if I timed it all right, we will throw it over to Bailey for a very cool, mind-blowing final thing. Not to put any pressure on Bailey, but she showed me this thing the other day and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. So that's the scope of the workshop. So we'll fly through the intro pieces relatively quickly so that we can have some time for hands-on. So what are we talking about when we say AI? We're talking about essentially what boils down to thing picking. If you've ever watched the show on HBO, Silicon Valley, starring my hometown high school homie, Tom Middleditch, in that show, there's a character and they make a app, and the app is hot dog or not hot dog. And they just put photos of stuff and it's like, yes, it's a hot dog, or no, it's not a hot dog. At its very base level, AI is doing that. It's like, is this the thing or is this not the thing? And ChatGPT or Bard or any of the other engines that are out there doing this, all these models, they're doing an incredibly complex series of thing picking. Which word is obvious? Which word is most likely to come next? This, and this. And its job is to impersonate us, which is why we like it so much, is because it's very convincing and impersonating us. And you can see the growth time there of GPT to 5 days. This is an old graphic, like quite old at this point. It is an astronomically large tool right now. You've got other tools growing at the same rate. So ChatGPT, just to be clear, is the open AI large language model that is becoming like the word Kleenex. You know, facial tissues are the item, but everybody calls them Kleenex. It's sort of becoming popular with, just like Googling is an action word now. The brand is becoming associated with the technology. What does GPT and Bard do well? So Bard is Google's AI. It is not yet available in Canada, but I'm sure it is coming at some point here. And I use these terms essentially interchangeably because they're all going to kind of have some of the same powers, and they'll just sort of take little baby steps past each other as they develop. What do these tools do really well? They synthesize and summarize. They generate formulaic writing. If you've got your standard 5x5 essay, they will crank those things out in no sweat at all. They will write code and explain code and comment code really, really well. They will transform and communicate information really, really well. So they can take a complex article and turn it into a simple article for a different grade level very well. I was helping a teacher the other day who was struggling in Social Studies 8. And he was like, oh, I've got all these great academic articles, but it's so hard to find stuff for grade 8s. And I was like, just GPT them down to grade 8 level, or throw them in a tool like Magic School, and don't waste your time finding the right articles. Take the stuff you know is good and just make it usable by grade 8s. And I also think GPT, Bard, all these tools, anything content driven, which is a lot of old standardized tests, it will eat that stuff like baby food. It will do that stuff extremely well. But it does have some struggles. And I think this slide, like if I were to give you some advice on this slide, put a giant asterisk over this whole slide and just say for now, because I think all these things will be solved as we go forward. So there's a term that if you're in this field studying around AI hallucinations is a term that I've heard a whole bunch of places. AI hallucinations are when the AI is extremely confident but makes mistakes. One of the first things we did last year when these tools came out was throw a bunch of Shakespeare essay prompts at it. It was super confident. It knew what it was talking about, and it quoted all the wrong plays and stuff that wasn't written by Shakespeare because it was hallucinating the answers. So it will make stuff up, and it will be very confident about that. It currently struggles with math. I think all the engines kind of struggle with math a little bit. if you're using the free version, it is not connected to the internet, and it's only trained on information prior to 2021. So I asked it a question once, and it thought Coolio was still alive. Rest in peace, Coolio, because he'd passed away since 2021. Ethics, future forward thinking, creative thinking, answering questions about what ifs, what is, new scenarios that it's not trained on. It won't be very good at that. You could probably prompt it into having some answers for you, but it won't be able to do it on the fly. And for now, unless you're paying for the OpenAI version of ChatGPT 4, it's not connected to the internet for most of the public unless you're paying. And that means if it's trained on the public internet, it's the worst part of the internet, because that's where a lot of misinformation is. So I just imagine doing my undergrad with an AI search bot to help me search through databases. And I'm just like, man, I was born in the wrong era. What a time saver that would have been. My experience with AI, like I've seen this coming because of my work in graphic design and media arts education, because these tools have been popping up in my face for the last 5 or 6 years, especially in the Adobe product line, where the AI tools they've been niche and they've been appearing and they've been getting better and better and better. And those tools we're the frog sitting in the slowly boiling pot of water. And what ChatGPT and Bard and these other engines did was they threw us into the boiling water, because it's how much we could do all at once. So, I've got some screenshots of Gmail and Outlook and Canva and Photoshop and Presenter Coach in PowerPoint. These are all AI tools, and they've been slowly appearing bit by bit. I mean, nobody was mad when autocomplete showed up in their email. Nobody. But it's a little bit shocking to have the crafting of whole emails suddenly appear. So I think it's like a shock value in like how powerful they got so quickly. But this is why when we're talking about like, oh, what are we going to do with AI? Like, to roll this back or to not have access to these tools would remove a ton of features that basically everybody has deemed and accepted as great time savers. And to remove like AI as a tool would also delete all these great features that we all like. And then we get into the nitty gritty of like what's okay, what's not okay. And it becomes very, very complicated very, very quickly, because it's all the same sort of computer science backend that's going to allow that stuff to function. I've got my black swan GIF here. I've got a couple metaphors that I will lead you through. So AI is a mirror, right? It's designed to impersonate us. So if you step away from the mirror, if you have things that the mirror can't see, if it's reflecting things that's never been trained, it's not going to be able to do that. And it ultimately, when you're using these tools, Bard, ChatGPT, whatever, you have to remember that they actually know nothing. They know absolutely nothing. They're just responding based on their programming and their training sets. So I think the way I'm working with my teachers on it is these tools get you from 0 to 80 or 0 to 90% of the way there extremely fast. But your human expertise and brain and training and context take it from 90 to 100 and make it usable. Because as good as you can get at prompting, it's never going to be perfect, and it doesn't know anything else. And again, doesn't know anything. The computer doesn't know anything. I also say it's a lot more like the computer on the enterprise rather than the Borg. The Borg is like when all these tools first arrived on the scene, it was like, oh my God, we're all gonna, it's gonna erase jobs, it's gonna do this, it's gonna do that, it's gonna consume all the information, yada, yada, yada. It will consume all the information, but it's what that information can do. It's far more like working in a team on the enterprise, like you see there in the photo, saying, computer, can you do this? Computer, can you do that? And having the answer influence the human process and support the human process rather than conquering worlds and assimilating things into its collective knowledge. So it's a lot less scary than I think sometimes it's being made out to be. And it's going to do a lot of powerful things, and there's definitely things that are going to shift as AI tools become more and more broad or more specialized. But for the majority of these tasks, I think the human interaction piece it can't go anywhere because the computer, again, doesn't know anything. What does this look like long term? We've got some stuff from Google here. Bard, like I said, not available in Canada, but I think the exciting part about Bard that I'm looking forward to using is if you look at the experience, like ChatGPT is built as this like chat interface and you talk to it and you just type into it. I'm thinking about how an AI tool might work better in context. I'm going to play the video and then I'll explain what I mean in just a sec.
It's hard to make an idea come to life.
Oop, I skipped the video, Bailey.
It's hard to make an idea come to life when the information you need is in different places. But now, you can collaborate with the world's information and your own, all in one place with Bard. With extensions, Bard can now connect to Google's apps and even gives you the option to pull in your own information to make it all come together. Like when you're making a plan. Or when you're prepping for the big day. Or when you want to make sense of something. Bard can even help you make memories. Pull in the info you need just when you need it, so you can keep your ideas moving forward with Bard as your helpful collaborator. Try for yourself at bard.google.com.
Again, not available in Canada yet, but the reason I'm looking forward to these tools is because I think the interface that we see right now with like having a chat conversation, I think AI went out one direction. I think with Bard, I think about the user experience that would be improved if it was plugged in to everything I'm already doing. And I think about the way that the Google environment already works, where my Drive and my Classroom and my email are all they're all meshed together already. And if I can overlay an assistant, like you saw in the video, over top of that, that can help me sort of further enmesh, find, search, compile information through that. I think that's a really exciting feature. And I think if I were to put money on predicting what comes next for AI, I think it's going to come back out of these like discrete chat interfaces and then get built into tools like the way Adobe is doing it, a way Microsoft is trying to integrate stuff into some of their platforms. I think Google already has the connection piece, and I'm really excited to see what that looks like. What does it look like in education? I've got another video for you. This is sort of the Google AI roadmap, just to get your brain turning about what's going to look like to teach with these tools.
Advancing Education with AI by Google. These days, we can all see how AI is revolutionizing the way we live, work, and imagine our future. At Google, we've been preparing for this for quite some time. Nearly a decade ago, we began working to develop and harness the power of AI to help everyone gain an understanding of its potential. We also formulated our own set of principles for applying AI responsibly. Many of our products and services use AI to help people connect more easily with the information they seek and with each other. And we're helping to expedite breakthroughs in fields ranging from healthcare to communication, where AI has the potential to improve billions of lives. Today, AI has the power to transform education like never before. Taking what we've learned through years of building classroom technology and working alongside educators from around the world, we're developing AI in ways that will serve as an insightful tool, a thought partner that elevates educators as the heart and soul of the educational experience and supercharges productivity for educational leaders. With AI applied in the context of our educational tools, educators can choreograph learning experiences more effectively and efficiently. Creating lessons and presentations can take minutes instead of hours. Dashboards can reveal real-time insights into each student's progress and even their process, all of which gives educators more time to invest in their students and in themselves. For students, AI can help make learning more personal with tools that offer real-time feedback to help supplement the educator's instruction. It can help improve reading proficiency, and if students struggle, educators can be alerted sooner of the need for personalized attention. AI can also help unlock creativity, freeing students to reimagine the limits of what's possible. And that's only where we are today. Imagine a future where lessons are adaptable to each student's unique learning style. Accessibility features enable a fully inclusive classroom, and AI continues to learn and develop ways to help both students and educators realize their fullest potential. This is the future of education.
So I think you're starting to see these tools. They already exist, some of them, right? They're already here in some form or another.
Advancing education.
I'm not going to play these two videos, but an example of features that you're starting to see that are AI driven are like practice sets in Google Classroom. YouTube interactive quizzes is coming to some of the Google Classroom feature sets in the future. These are all AI tools, but they're AI within context, right? Like they're specialized add-ons that are going to show up in our teaching areas. You heard also like reading comprehension testing, things like that. I dream of a day where I can have my differentiation class profile and an AI might take an article I post and it's like it knows student A, B, and C need a modified version of the reading, and it'll do that automatically for me because I've set it in the back end, and it'll put out a different style of reading, things like that. And I think we're like, it feels so futuristic and far away, but all of the stuff is like it could pop up in some context on some platform tomorrow and I would not be shocked. And that's where we're going. And I think that's really exciting. And again, I think we're going to move away from these discrete chatbot interfaces to more niche and specialized tools as education develops. And they'll start popping up like our email responders that were just sort of there one day. And we're like, oh, this is very convenient. I'm going to play both videos and then I'm going to skip. So let's talk big picture again about some philosophy, and I'm going to fly through some of this stuff too. So you get a lot of reactions when you start talking about AI in education. So we're going to ban it. We're going to ban it. We're not going to use students. Don't use it here. They don't know what's going on. This is a Google Trends graph. You'll see here, ChatGPT. Kids find out about it. Up it goes. Minecraft sort of hovering along. And then boom, you saw some articles in the summer. AI tools are kind of a fad. They're not being used anymore. And Minecraft spikes back up. What was that? That was summer vacation, Bailey. So kids stopped using it. And you know who else stopped using it? Teachers, because we were out doing stuff too, because we're using it also. And to pretend that we're going to use it and kids aren't is silly business. So school comes back in session, and guess what tool is very useful again? Uh-oh, I got a lesson plan for my course coming up in September. Whoop, there goes the popularity again. Same with Minecraft. It's like, back to work. Away we go. Time to play. So they're going to use it. They are using it. They will continue to use it. That's okay. We'll use AI detectors. We'll be protected because we'll have fancy tools that are just going to detect the AI and tell us who's cheating and yada, yada, yada. Doesn't work. Turn it in, launch some features. Nope, doesn't work. And my personal philosophical opinion is that wrongly accusing a kid of cheating is worse than catching a cheater. And and damaging that relationship with false accusations for a kid that worked really hard is really bad. And I think the real answer is like work with kids, learn their writing, create tasks that don't rely on high stakes testing or high stakes single performance things where they're gonna be tempted to cheat, because AI detectors won't work. There's talk about watermarking and different AI things to like make that happen, but like I could go to Bard, feed a bunch of stuff into Bard, take it to ChatGPT, feed it to ChatGPT. You'll never detect it. No chance. We will use it for everything. We're going to use it for absolutely everything. We're just going to be an AI school now. Also not so great. Yes, at Karen, teach them how to use the tool as part of the assignment. Bingo. And I have some examples of that coming up. We will use it for everything. So that doesn't work either too, because when people think they're being fed AI, this is a study from UBC that just came out recently. People don't actually like AI stuff that much. Like it turns out, if you feed people a bunch of AI art and we're like, this is art, look at it, they rate it far worse than if they think it's human art. And AI art that people think is human art gets rated highly. Human art that is people are told is AI is rated very poorly. And then this study over here is a link to an academic paper about linguists being fed writing samples and they don't know what is AI or not. So it's tricky. You can't just use it for everything. But if you are going to use it, you need to be transparent, because if people feel like they're being tricked, they ain't going to be happy about it. And they'll feel it'll feel disingenuous. So again, everything's going to be in the middle somewhere. And Holly Clark on Twitter shared this wonderful framework, which I don't think is the be all and end all of things to do. But if I was working in a school with my administration and I wanted to come up with sort of a starting point philosophy or framework to start helping staff and kids use AI, I would use this use me-AI sort of foundation. I really resonate with how are we innovating? Are we having clear expectations? Are we supporting and supplementing learning? Are we understanding? Are we as teachers modeling and motivating the interactions with AI? It's all the good stuff that we did with some of the other ed tech tools that we've used over the last 15 years. But we're having to do it in a different way. So this poster, I think, is a great starting place, and it's linked in the presentation if you want to take it to your school as well. And I think it's ready for modification. Like, what would your school find as the ethical lines that it wants to set? If you're into some deeper reading, I'm not going to go too into this. It's the UNESCO framework for human agency in the age of generative AI, a very interesting piece of work, but another framework that they've put out to think about these tools. And the University of Oregon has redefined Bloom's taxonomy about in the age of AI. And it's like, where are human skills in this framework? And where are the AI skills? So I really like this understand column here. So AI can describe the concept, it can give you the content, but humans are required to answer the emotional, moral, and ethical considerations of the framework.
Danny, can I add something here?
Yeah.
I've been, embedded in AI since it started because I'm kind of a nerd that way. But I was one of those early adopters that like experimented with all the ways that ChatGPT or like Magic School AI couldn't do what we do. And then I sort of abandoned that. And now I've been thinking more and more about how the AI that I use allows me to be more interactive and more human with the people I support. So all of my trivial work, be that with students or be that with teachers, is now taking me a quarter of the time it used to. So that's like crafting newsletters, building projects for people. And now I'm actually spending the time doing the meaningful connective stuff, which I think has really enriched our culture in working together on what really matters at the heart of our work in education. So this Bloom's taxonomy was really helpful for me in like reframing, like I can get AI to do everything, into I can get AI to do the things that I don't need to be doing because I can do other things.
Totally. And that's like, you're speaking my language, I think. Like, I think it's that, I think it's like that 0 to 80, right? Like the 80% of just the heavy lifting work to like make stuff happen, that goes really fast. And then I focus my time now on the 80 to 100 to make things really well, to connect with people, to lead the lessons, to work in classrooms, rather than sitting around like building content, right? Building content is my least favorite thing. Like, the other big question I think we're all going to grapple with is also plagiarism. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but I wanted to point you to Sarah Elaine Eaton's work out of the University of Calgary. She's a leading academic in academic integrity and honesty. And I think she's starting to create, with her colleagues, a framework for a 21st century AI reality model of plagiarism. And I think the one that stuck out to me when I saw this paper was historical definitions of plagiarism no longer apply, which is kind of a mind blower if you're teaching MLA tomorrow. I don't know who these MLA and APA people are that just like pass down these rules from the dark shadow world that just, the style guide shows up at every first year university kids bookstore. But I think they've got to adjust and find ways to cite AI. Right now, for anything that my kids are doing, I've just added a rule to all the style guides. It's like, you have to cite your prompt. So if you're using footnotes, paste your prompt into the footnotes so that I can see what you did and how you got your information. And like, how did you know that it was right? How do you know it's not an AI hallucination? So that's there. And I think this is going to be a bigger, longer, multi-year conversation for education as a whole, but we all have to sort of start thinking and chewing on the topic of what does this look like? And ultimately, I think this leads into process will trump product in education. And I think this is one of my favorite graphics that was shared to me by one of our Logix teammates, Jonathan So. I love a great project that is a total disaster and the end product, like a kid who swings for the fences and just completely, like, it's just a mess by the end. Like, I'm totally cool with that if I have observed and talked with them about their process. Sometimes the average kid's going to be equally weighted, product, observation, conversation, but sometimes the product stinks and you're heavily weighting the observation and conversation and reflection process that kid has undergone. And the final product can be terrible and they can get 100% because they can articulate all the things that they learned, all the things that they would do different next time, and all the learning that took place, because shoot for the sky and fail willingly and you'll learn more. And I think it's also talking about metacognition, reflective practice, student choice and inquiry. These are all things that are totally more possible using these tools rather than trying to hide from them or pretend that they don't exist. And AI will probably provide a lot of opportunity for targeted skills for complex tasks and teaching on the go and learning stuff as we need. An example of this. So this is one of my favorite things. And I think it was Karen. Yes, Karen in the chat talking about teaching kids to use the tools and modeling the tools. This is from the Wharton School of Business. I toured my career ed students around our local community college, and the business class was literally working on this project when we walked in. This is the Impossible Assignment by Ethan Mollick. He's a researcher at the Wharton School of Business. The assignment is business that you're looking at there, but I'm going to do it with my grade 12s. And the task is to learn something they thought was impossible at the start of the assignment, and then to track all their prompting. And that becomes their assignment. What did you prompt? How did you prompt it? What did you inquire about? And did you learn the skill at the end of the day? And the business example is to create a business plan, not just a business plan, but create a business plan you thought was impossible, and then do things like, you can see down here at the bottom, I'm on the wrong screen, did things at the bottom. So you can talk to entrepreneurs, Steve Jobs, Tory Burch, Jack Ma, Rihanna, like you get their feedback on your business plan via these tools. And just go out there, go hard into these tools and figure out how you're using them. And he also has a sample AI policy that belongs in his post-secondary syllabus there, which you can feel free to adapt. His work is really interesting. And then over here, for further, we don't have time to, it's a 10-part video series, so we don't have time to watch it all, but practical AI for instructors and students. This is like how to craft prompts if you're a teacher, how to craft prompts if you're a student, what to think about in assignment and prompt design for using for using these tools in your classroom. And I love this assignment. I think it's so cool to teach kids how to get what they need out of the tool and how to coach through the use of the tool. And I think we're also going to see a return to the concept of a flipped classroom, which was very popular at conferences, I don't know, Bailey, 10 years ago, about that. And I think technology was reaching a point where people were like, oh, this is possible now. But like me and Bailey teach in pretty remote places. So like the flipped concept was like a little bit of a hurdle technology wise, like wasn't practical ready quite yet. There were aspects of it that we could do. But now with this, we can push a lot of the content and the formative assessment to check that content out of the classroom, so that when kids are in class with us, they are leveraging these tools and our expertise to really work on cool stuff, to co-create knowledge together, to coach them through complex assignments and tasks. And that project-based learning in the classroom is like what I am all about. And these tools are going to help us do that.
The flipped classroom is a new method of teaching that is turning.
If you're unfamiliar with flipped classroom, all your lecture and homework comes, traditionally lecture goes in class, it flips it. So all your learning, content learning, Sage on the stage, that's homework. And then all the work comes into the class to be aided by the instructor. So how do you do that? So I'm going to show you real quick. Magic School, we're going to play with Magic School today. I'm going to show you really quickly one of my favorite features in Magic School, and then I'm going to give you guys a chance to do that. So I'm going to take this video right here. I teach film, so using color to tell a story in film. This is a great video. It's 11 minutes long. Maybe I don't want to show that in class. Maybe I'd rather be making films with color palettes in class than watching this video. So I'm just going to take that YouTube video, Control-C, and then I'm going to head over to my, I gotta remember, share this tab. So this is the video I'm going to share. There's my film video. I'm going to copy the address. I'm going to pop over to Magic School, magicschool.ai. I think Bailey can drop that in the chat for us. You can see here Magic School is kind of a mind blower. Like, let's just cruise the tools that are all education specific. Let us know in the chat if you've heard of Magic School. It's fairly popular right now. And where is my YouTube?
It's on the right-hand side of your screen, like third row. Yeah, right there.
YouTube question generator. So I'm going to use that one. So I teach 10 through 12, but let's make it a 12th grade. We're going to ask 10 questions. We're going to do multiple choice. And then I'm going to paste that YouTube video in that I just copied. Are you ready? Generate. Boom. There are 10 multiple choice questions for a quiz about that video. And my answer key, because how great is that? So right now, I cannot export this out to a quiz tool like a Google form or a Microsoft Forms quite yet. I assume that will come at some point, but I've taken that video. I put the video in. What it's working off of is the closed caption transcript. So it's reading the transcript really quick. You'll notice that it created the quiz faster, like way faster than you could watch the movie. You do have to be aware of what your questions are, because like the video has a sponsored ad. So right at the beginning is an ad for Mubi. It's asking a question about the commercial. So I would edit that out and I would take that out. But overall, you can see really quickly, boom, I've got a formative assessment. I've got the video. That's my homework for the night. Next day, instead of watching this video and talking about it in class, we're handing out cameras and we're doing the work. We're building a color palette based film, or we're creating a story that leverages that. So your turn. We're going to give you a couple minutes here. I just saw somebody in the chat say their Google API is disabled in the district. You could sign up with a personal Gmail in this instance. Or we're a small enough group in here now. If you saw a tool that you want me to demo on the screen while everybody's playing, drop it in the chat and I will demo it for you while everybody else is playing. But I would love for everybody to go explore the YouTube quiz creator, and then I want you to drop your quiz in the chat. it'll be a big wall of questions, but it'll be fun to see what you come up with. So let's do 5 minutes or so. Sounds about right, eh, Bailey? Okay. And let me know in the chat if you want to see a tool and you can't sign in, let me know and I will demo the tool for you. And if anybody just has questions right now too, we can take a pause while people are playing and answer some other questions.
The chat has been busy, but no questions so far. Just people having aha moments and agreeing.
Mm-hmm. I wonder how many people, I'm curious about how many have blocked AI tools in their districts. Seems ineffective. Look at that. Karen's already done, right? Main topic of the video, science experiments. Yeah, instantly. It cut your questions off, but we get the idea for sure, right? What is the purpose of a dam? Can you drop the video link, Karen, into the chat just so we can see what the video was?
Oh, Sam, good for you talking about them block tools. What was it? Oh, I was just going to say that I'm noticing that these questions are a really good way to cover off that like basic understanding part of the Bloom's line. And then we can actually dig into the good work in our classes because in a perfect world, we could all reach that foundational understanding of topics just by using tools like these. So again, that 80-20, 20-80, 80-20 rule.
Yeah, totally. Right? Like it also gives you, like, if this is a homework assignment and everybody does poorly on it, you also know, like, oh, we need a reset. Maybe the video I picked wasn't the best video or it was confusing for kids. That would be, it's just good formative data, right? Just good formative data to then make either move on and go deeper or reset and reapproach. Single sign-on. I had no issues in my district with single sign-on stuff. But my district is a dual Microsoft Google tenant, so I'm not sure if that would have affected it. I hope you get your stuff on block, Sam. I believe Sam. Sam helped get me through my master's degree, so she's used to carrying a little bit of dead weight. Very cool. Anybody else have a quiz to drop? I can't remember what project we did, Sam, but or what courses, but we've got Karen's quiz. We'll give them maybe one more minute to see if we can get some others. Oh, it might have been bring your own device, Sam. Maybe. Don't mind us. We're just catching up over a workshop. Okay, we're ready to move on, I think. Just give us a quick thumbs up if you're ready to rock and roll. Karen says, let's roll. Everybody's oh, look at all those thumbs. Love it. We were going to take some time to explore other magic. I feel like this group has already explored some other magic school tools in the other screen. Am I correct, chat? Yes, Sarah says yes. I think Magic School is like the default go-to for like, can AI do this for me to get me from 0 to 80 really quick? I think it's really popular for releveling. Text is really helpful, like super helpful. Like I was saying earlier, the grade 8 teacher who knew about a bunch of academic papers for social studies that he'd read in university, don't bother finding grade 8 ones, just relevel them and use the stuff you know is good and accurate and quality. let's get into some concrete ideas. So most of these examples, because we don't have the access to Bard in Canada right now, these are going to be GPT examples. However, I was traveling to a university in the States last week, and I played with Bard, and Bard can do all this stuff too. So it doesn't matter which engine you're using. This is one that I think is really helpful for teachers. So targeted skill building. For some of our students, writing a 5x5 essay requires them to write the entire scope of a 5x5 essay to get to the point where they can get to work on specific skills. So one of the things that I'm really into is creating short, simple, bad pieces of writing, to be honest, like structural writing that's boring and not that good, and then using that generated writing as a platform to then teach a specific skill with writing. So the example I have here is, here we're going to write a 5x5 essay, and then the student task, I'm going to give them a piece of reading, and then we're going to learn how to integrate evidence into that specific piece of writing. So the kid doesn't have to come up with the intro and the thesis and all the body paragraphs. They're just going to go through and they're going to learn how to thread evidence and do their citations and reference things in the text. And they don't have to do that startup work. And neither do I. I'm not sitting and writing intentionally boring essays at home in my spare time. I'm just spinning them up. Creative writing is like rich for this stuff. And I think what these engines and language models do really well is they give you like that basis to then get creative and play with. So, here's a simple story, write the story, and then, okay, we're going to add a character to the story, and it's got to be a deep, rich, motivated character, and you're just going to thread it into the context of the other writing that's going on. That's way more fun, because we all know some kids, it's going to take them a million years to get to the skeleton of something decent. And I use this stuff in film all the time. Like, it is so hard to find scripts that are shot in a school, star teenagers, yada, yada, yada. So if I'm teaching directorial choice, here's a very basic script. Now show me how your camera angles and your lighting and your audio all influence the script and change it into something completely new. Math challenges, creating and conjuring math problems that meets certain specific curriculum criteria. Boom, here's your problem of the day, right? It'll give you the question, it'll give you the answer. There's your warm up for your unit every day. You can just spit that out really fast. Our math teacher at my school has abandoned set numbers of retests. He's embraced the culture of try as many times as you want. Like, math takes a long time. You got to make mistakes in math. So because GPT allows him to generate tests, bang, 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 bang. So you can retest as many times as you want because it's pumping out his retest and his answer key for him. It's very fast, it's very easy, and it's better for kids. It also, like traditional cheating, looking over somebody's shoulder, you could also create 30 tests for 30 kids with 30 answer keys. If you're worried about that. But in a context of where it doesn't matter if you mess up the test because you can try it again, I probably assume the cheating will fall because there's less incentive to do it, right? It's just about the learning, not so much about the grade. I love this one. Workout of the day for physical education. So, I would actually refine this prompt if I were to read this example. I would say something like, we have 24 students, we need 6 stations, generate a workout that will last 40 minutes with these types of sort of station focuses. It'll generate that workout. And then because I can keep that chat window going, that chat session going over multiple days or weeks, the next day I can be like, generate a workout that reflects the sore or used muscle groups of this same cohort and generate 5 new workout stations. And then if you have a nutrition class or kids are worried about their nutrition, they could go and ask it, what should I eat today? And what macro split would allow me to make the most of this workout? So our phys ed folks can get in on the excitement too. I know one of our coaches uses it to frame out his practices. So he's like, I want to target these skills for volleyball. Can you give me an outline of how to do that? And then he takes that and then remixes it based on his players and his team composition. Just as, again, like Bailey and I have been talking about, like going from 0 to 80 and saving the time of just creating the sort of framework and then doing the human work of 80 to 100. I'm just keeping an eye on the time here. We've got about 10 more minutes, right, Bailey? Obviously, I never want to mark grammar and spelling again. I don't think that's an effective use of my time, highlighting all the commas and periods. No. I want to talk about ideas. So ChatGPT, Bard, whatever, marking my grammar and spelling. All this stuff is going to be integrated into Google Docs, Word. Like, it's just a matter of time. They're all going to do it. And I can't wait because I do not want to be a copy editor. Yes, Bailey. And then I went out when I was preparing the last update of this session a few days ago. I went out and asked one of my favorite students who's at third year university at University of Victoria. I was like, what are you guys using ChatGPT for? Because I know you're not going to cheat because you're too nice of a kid. You won't cheat with it. What are you doing with it? And so she fired me over some examples, and she sent me her semester long notes. So what she does is, oh, I totally have favorites. Anybody that doesn't have favorites is lying. They're all my favorites, Bailey. My student, what she does is she handwrites all her notes in class because she's a good kid and she listens. That makes you remember stuff better. And then she OCRs them into the computer. So she gets this big messy text file. And then she takes that text file and she feeds it to ChatGPT before her exam. And she says, can you synthesize all this information? And can you simplify it, categorize it, sort it all out, get rid of all the redundancy, and create a study tool? Boom. Yes, it can. It does that. So here's the notes that it gave her for her History of Egypt course. And then I was like, hey, have you ever asked it to predict your professor's essay questions for the exam? And then she goes, yep, I'll try that. So I did it with her and I put it in. So it read what her prof had taught her, and then it guessed at the questions that it was going to ask on her exam. And then she went and wrote the exam. And I emailed her and I was like, were we close? And she said, damn, some of them essay questions were very close to what he actually asked. That's impressive. Did she kill the exam? She sure did. So how could you tell a university student that's a bad idea? No way, Jose. I think about all the time I spent with like multiple binders sitting in front of me at my computer desk, like shuffling paper around and trying to read my writing that I did at like an 8 o'clock exam or an 8 o'clock lecture. Like, no way, man. That's an incredible use of these tools to help and assist learning. And then the other thing that she told me she does is she pre-marks all her own papers with ChatGPT. So she doesn't write with ChatGPT. She takes the rubric her professor's put in her syllabus for the assignment. She feeds her paper into it. Then she says, mark it with this rubric based on third year university, yada, yada, yada. It'll then give her a grade of what she's doing. And then my suggestion, my add-on for her is, your paper's done. It's good. Like, you're a good writer, but if you could spend 1 hour to improve your essay, how would you break down that hour and what would you focus on? And then it tells her, work on your argument for 30 minutes. The example here is one of the papers I did in university in 2006, I think. I fed it. And then, so argument, evidence, and then the next two examples. So that's 45 minutes. And then it was like grammar and spelling, 10 minutes, final pass through, 5 minutes, submit. And so she's like really smartly time managing to be like, if I spend 30 minutes on my argument based on the rubric, that's where I'm going to gain the most assessment value and based on what the professor's looking for. And yes, Karen, that's why she's my favorite. She's a smart learner. And I think if you're going to take away sort of anything to play with in your own ChatGPT or Bard world, I think building a good prompt is it's a kind of a skill. And I think this model is really effective. So what is your context? What is the task? What are your instructions? And then clarify. And then also ask it to fix its own answer. So it'll output something and then ask it to fix it right after, and it'll improve upon it even again. Another sort of like head scratcher that like as soon as you start doing it, it totally makes sense and you don't realize that you didn't do it before is, what questions do you need to know to better assist me in this task? And it will tell you like, oh, I need to understand this. I need to understand that. This is for like a school level. So we do a diagnostic reading comprehension assessment at our school. it takes 20 adults, a full staff meeting of 90 minutes in October every year to mark it. We do our 7s, 8s, 9s, and 10s. We mark them on comprehension, and then we mark them on paragraph structure. It's a very focused test. There's one infographic and one article that they each read. So I played around with ChatGPT in this case, and I fed it the rubrics. I fed it the articles. I just copy and pasted the articles right in. I was like, here's the article 1, here's article 2. And then I anonymized the data. So make sure that you are conscious about what data you're putting into these things, because we don't know where it goes or what happens with it necessarily. And then boom, can you create a table of student scores to make it easier to transpose to my working document? So it took the work of 20 adults times 90 minutes, and it marked a full grade in about 15 seconds. And then I took it and I compared it to our hand marking, and it is 90 to 97% accurate, depending on how hungry the marker was when they were marking it after work. Did we get the free cookies from the foods room that day? Did we forget our lunch? But it's like, if you're at 90% accuracy with these diagnostic tests, now what if we spent that staff meeting talking about interventions instead of marking? And that's where the real aha moment comes with these tools. That being said, some teachers don't think this is okay. They think this is ethically wrong because they're doing it. We're using a machine to take writing. But on this exact answer, I'm okay with it. And now, look at that. I timed it perfectly, Bailey. I timed it perfectly.
Perfect timing.
Bailey showed me this. This is next level. So we're right last 3 minutes. I want to show you Bailey's example because it blew my mind. Hopefully,
it blew my own mind.
And then just know, folks in the crowd, there are more examples after these slides.
Yes. Okay. This is a bit of an app smashed example. I use GPT and Google Sheets and Canva. Speaking of interventions, I'm big in supporting teachers and planning for interventions right now, and I'm extremely busy with it. And I knew I had a hot spot of kids who needed vocabulary instruction intervention, and I knew that I didn't have time to build a scope and sequence for the teachers that needed it. So I turned to my pal, GPT. I asked if they knew about semantic gradients, and then I asked them to make me a CSV formatted list of semantic gradients. So that's what you can see at the bottom there, is the CSV of the semantic gradient for angry to, I think it's angry to happy. And then once it spit me out a CSV, on the next slide, I think Danny has an image of, let's go to the next one. Next slide, yeah. There is an image of the Google Sheets file I made with all of the semantic gradients that GPT spit out for me. And this was where the 90% rule came into play. Some of them were bad, like for tall and short, 3 of the words were average, below average, and above average, which is not good instruction. So that's fine. Then I use Canva and their new bulk create feature to create a blank worksheet that aligned with the headings of my Google Sheets file. So you can see I randomized the words and the gradient in that Google Sheets file. I actually asked GPT to randomize the CSV for me. And then I use Canva bulk create from the CSV to create this file, which has 20 semantic gradients with sentences for teachers and educational assistants to use when working with the students who need this kind of intervention. Huge resource. We work on 8-week intervention cycles, and I know that this will get my teachers through the next 16 weeks. So I am now free to sit with students and sit with teachers and talk about how interventions are going, rather than spending 2 days making semantic gradient worksheets. So that's just my view on the potential of it. Thanks, Danny, for giving me a chance to share.
perfectly timed. I cannot believe that worked out so perfectly timed. And like, what, like, folks, can we just like give it up for Bailey? Like, what a mind blowing, like, oh, like I'm doing the little stuff in my classroom, and then like I made this whole book. I showed this to my middle years team, and they were like, "Oh my good lord, that took how long?" So just so you know, there is some great little tools in here. I'm going to wrap up in 1 second. Oh, do we have time? Can I show one video? Are you guys okay if I show one little short little video? Because this will blow your mind too. This is called Hey Gen Translation.
Welcome to the definitive iPhone versus Android video. De acuerdo. Bienvenido al video definitivo de iPhone versus Android. D'accord. Bienvenue dans la vidéo finale de l'iPhone versus Android.
Just imagine. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. There is more examples in here. You can browse at your leisure. I am happy to answer questions and stay connected. There's a coding project from Donnie Piercy on Twitter that GPT helped him write, and then also instructed him on how to physically build. There's further reading here. Donnie Piercy's got a book, 50 Strategies for Integrating AI. Ethan Mollick's paper, Assigning 7 Approaches for AI Prompts with Students, how to do it. And then over to Bailey to wrap it all up.
Yeah, so I did share a feedback form for us and Logix. We really do value your feedback. We have a ton of cool stuff coming up. Danny, I'll just ask you to go to the next slide to help me remember the cool stuff, right? It is the CS First Coding Across the Curriculum series. So this is a year-long series where our team comes into your classroom and teaches CS First in all sorts of environments. We have such a fun English language arts and narrative building lesson that's super cool. This is like if you were to dip your toe into computer science, or you have a colleague that's maybe like a little bit hesitant of diving fully in, this is the way to do it, because you have a nerd like me sitting on YouTube with you and your students walking through the project together. So it really eases the lift of that work with kids. The next one, there's all of our CS First stuff. So you can see it's happening year long. So it's an opportunity to dig into something kind of on a long-term scale with your class. And right, we have Computer Science Education Week activities coming up. These are all live into your classroom. These are from Google, and they are sure to be excellent. They have Googlers and Tooglers involved, and it's always super engaging. When I did these with my classrooms, the kids always wanted another hour with the Googlers. So make sure you check those out as well. And of course, Logix is always busy with really cool stuff, so you can check that out at events. The biggest thing, though, is to make sure you fill out our feedback form, because that will help Danny and I and Logix to guide our work in the next little bit. Take care, everybody.
And if you just want to end the recording, Sam, Bailey, I'm happy to hang out for a minute or two and ask